feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's
Hey everyone, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of The Shrimp Tank. I'm your host Rich Jensen, along with my co-host David Sims, and our special guest today, Alese Stroud of Vortylon. Each week on the post-show wrap-up, we like to bring you some of the highlights of our conversations that we've had with folks like Alese and some of the brightest and best CEOs and entrepreneurs in and around the state of Arkansas.
Yes.
You want to catch the entire podcast by going to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. You can also download any missed episodes and catch everything that Alese downloaded to us about not intellectual capital, intangible capital.
Yeah.
Intangible capital,
Yes.
exactly. Yes. And it's your third time swimming in the tank, so
Yes.
thank you. I thank you. If we have you 10 more times, we're going to pretty much have your whole portfolio
I'm going to have to
available
give up
to
my
us.
floaty wings.
But in this show, we covered the third and the fourth. There are four kinds of intangible capital, and we covered the third and fourth. And the third one is structural capital. Share with our viewers what structural capital is, and how Vortylon brings that to bear and helps businesses really increase significantly the value of their businesses when they're looking to sell or transition.
Sure, thank you. So structural capital is all about the processes and procedures that you use to do what you do, whatever the magic is in your company. And that includes your software, your intellectual property, and anything else that could be written down that you could hand over to a new owner to say, here's the secret sauce, here's how we do what we do. And that's important because your ability to define that secret sauce has a direct relationship to your ability to get really good value for your company.
And we're all looking for good value when we go to sell it.
Right.
And you have a specific tool that helps analyze that.
We do.
And that's something that you talk more about on the podcast. We can't go into it here, but it's a very important tool, and something that business owners should seriously consider engaging with and using.
Right.
We're real proud to say that's patent pending.
Yeah,
there you
patent
go.
pending,
There
that's
you go.
amazing, yeah.
So get it now before the patent is in place.
That's right.
By listening to the podcast. The fourth, capital that you talked about, I think was called strategic capital, which is different than structural. Explain to our listeners what that is.
So strategic capital is about both your culture and your purpose. And the strength of those really adds value to your company, sets you apart from other people who don't have that strong, well-defined culture and purpose.
And on the podcast, I asked you just in general on intangible capital, if kind of thinking about what a seller of a business would get by addressing and figuring out a value for their intangible capital versus not. And I think you gave us a number which was pretty high as far as a higher sales.
Very significant
Right.
premium. Yeah.
Well, so I swagged the value of that at about 50%.
Okay.
It's hard to put a specific number on it, but if you get into due diligence and you don't have these things documented, people will start subtracting.
Right, so you come
off
up.
of your
You said that on the
valuation.
podcast. They come up with the standard methods of whether it's multiples of EBITDA or whatever it is, and they put that, if it's private equity or whoever's buying, they'll put that number on the table. Then they'll start subtracting
Right,
for the deficits in intangible capital.
right.
Yeah, and so what Vortylon comes along and does, and basically says, no, you have the counterpoint in the negotiations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very good defensive posture.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, Elise, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show now for the third time.
Yes.
If you missed the first one last week's, go back to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com and listen to it so you get all of the information. But if someone wanted to get a hold of you or Vortylon, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So the quickest way is to drop me an email at astroud@vortylon.com, and you spell Vortylon, Vortylon.
Great.
Thank
Hey, next week on The Tank, we'll have another special guest, entrepreneur, that we can learn from. Until then, you can always catch all of the post-show wrap-up videos at the YouTube channel and all of the podcasts at arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. Until next week, stay safe, and remember, in business, we all start out as shrimp.